What's up, guys? For today's guest, we've got our good friend, the crazy talented artist designer Zack Atkinson in the house. Zack creates key art for a lot of major motion production studios as well as brands and other labels. One of his pieces of art was for the hit show Legion on FX, which is out on Hulu, as well as for the movie Captive State. His portfolio has some of the most interesting stuff around, and his talent is immense. From his figure drawings to his line work and forms, just take one look at his Instagram portfolio and you'll fall down a rabbit hole for hours. He's one of the most down-to-earth guys around, so if you're looking to collaborate or just interested in some advice, feel free to reach out and follow his IG. Links are down below. And as always, show support by liking and subscribing to the channel. Let's go. Zack Atkinson in the house. What's up, man?
Not much. How you doing, man?
Good, dude. You?
It's Sunday, man.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So.
Do you eat when you wake up, like first thing in the morning?
No, I don't. I don't actually. No.
I can't wake up and eat.
The tummy. It won't allow for it.
Yeah.
So. No.
And it doesn't matter what time of day it is. Like I could literally, if I get lucky enough to sleep in until 1 or 2, which is rare. But if that happens, I still can't wake up and eat. Yeah, no.
Morning eating, I have to force myself to do it. If I just feel mentally not there, I'm like, all right, let's get some grub in the belly, see what happens. But that's about it.
So it's almost like intermediate fasting, whatever they call it.
Intermittent.
Intermittent fasting, yeah, where you're not eating until 5 in
the
afternoon.
It's 16 hours off, and then there's an 8-hour window, and you just gotta choose and you go in.
And you just gorge with a whole bunch of food.
Yeah, I mean, I guess depending on what kind of route you want to take.
That's pretty much what I end up doing. I'm supposed to eat, I think 3,000 calories a day at least to maintain or gain.
Oh, geez.
Anything below 2,400, I'll lose weight. Because my metabolism's so high, and so I'm supposed to use every hour possible to eat, and I just can't do it.
What an ass. Well, that's great because mine is I have to do 2,100 for the caloric intake.
21, that's not bad at all.
I'm trying to lose weight. I mean, oof. When this pandemic,
lose weight, dude.
I got up to 205, and I'm only 5'9", so.
That's pretty simple, but 205 a solid muscle.
I wouldn't consider that a transcendent muscle during this pandemic. I've had Monica's 10-pound weights and leg bands. That's about it to work with.
Oh, yeah, because the gyms are closed?
Nixed, so there's no go on that.
Speaking of, I need to text my barber, too, get a haircut.
I mean, dude, this has been 8 months of hair just growing.
8 months, bruv. Look at that.
The beard, everything.
Yeah.
Zero concern for hygienic hair keeping and beard maintaining. So.
I mean, I could do my beard at home. My hair, man. I need a haircut. But we're lucky. We're fortunate enough that we're not totally on lockdown.
Oh, we are now as of, I think it was, 2 days ago?
Yeah. Nuisance, Gavin Nuisance.
Yeah.
Put you guys on lockdown.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, we get haircut. We can still get haircuts here, so I gotta text my barber.
Yeah, my barber went out of business.
I gotta eat all this food and get my haircut. Oh. You've been working on anything lately? I saw that last one you posted on your IG. Your art is fantastic, man. I love it.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I mean, was that a little more.
Was that for fun, or was that for work, or client commission?
Literally, my entire Instagram, my personal Instagram, is just me putzing around, playing around with colors or new brushes I've downloaded or new brushes I've created online, or it's more just kind of my own personal. I mean, at the end of the day, it's pretty much all women. Let's just be honest.
But it's really cool looking women.
So I mean, as of late, the more personal stuff, we've been, we have clients everything from HBO to FX to, Fox and Netflix and Amazon. So, being in the entertainment marketing and advertising, you have a pretty broad spectrum of clientele you can work with. Like last week we went from a client who we've worked with multiple times, but he does more. He's also a good friend with the bosses, so his stuff is a little more indie, and he's won a bunch of awards for independent films. So it's fun to do that because the gamut of creativity you have there is literally whatever you want. He'll present what the premise of the story is, or the movie, whatever he's working on at the time. He'd be like, hey, just let's go graphic, let's go illustrative, let's go photorealistic, let's go surreal. So it's pretty cool. And other times you have certain clientele like FX, they're amazing to work with because they have a very high end aesthetic that they like to go for, very conceptual, so you can really kind of push it. And other times, if you get like NBC or ABC, it's very much like, here's our cookie cutter kind of design that we've always had. This is the formula that we've always stuck with. It's also just the fact of the kind of material that they have. So you kind of get pigeon-footed in like this very clean Hallmark kind of look. So just depends on the clients you work with. So
yeah, I saw that HBO decided that they were going to release all their new films on HBO Max, which is a huge decision.
Well, I mean, you kind of have to, but I mean, I was just watching the commercials just for Wonder Woman 84, so that's gonna be released through theaters but also gonna be released on HBO Max. I guess I haven't read up on this enough, but do they have a joint kind of syndicacy, or I guess why is that being released on HBO Max as well?
They'll make more money off HBO Max. Let's be honest, nobody can go to theaters, so. And if you can, people really aren't choosing to. But I think they're releasing it in theaters, and then a week later, after a week, then it'll be on HBO Max.
All right.
Matrix 4 and all the 2021 movies are going to be the same way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I had one friend recently who went to go see Tenet actually in the theater.
Oh,
he loved it. He's also out in Kansas, so.
He's in little old Kansas in the middle of the fields. Kansas is so boring. Wichita, that's 6 hours from us. I've been there multiple times. It's driving from here to Colorado. I used to do that all the time. And it's the worst because it's 9 hours, but it's like 8 hours of Kansas.
Oh yeah, I mean,
literally nothing. Yeah.
I went through Kansas and I was like, I felt like I was just in like Groundhog Day. Like it just.
Yeah.
Looking out the window, I'm like, oh, same thing. An hour later, oh, same. 2 hours, same thing.
The biggest thing they have, there's like a farm full of like windmills, like these big white windmills. That's about it. You're like, ooh, windmills, and then you're back in fields. Excuse me. You guys are going to New York, right? Going back home for a little bit?
We were planning on doing so, but just regard to the pandemic, traveling, and my mother had way too many underlying health issues, and recently having to deal with cancer, then moving up to lung cancer and having to deal with asthma, and just they've been doing really well in regards to quarantining and maintaining their health. And the last thing I want to do is even have that chance of bringing any sort of ailments to her. So unfortunately this year, we're gonna have to hang out in Cali and just stick it out here. Maybe do a Zoom, holiday Zoom chat.
Yeah,
so
it's for the best.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather have her around for 15 more years and see her for a weekend and lose her in a month. So
yeah,
as morbid as that sounds, sorry.
No, trust me, I know exactly what you mean. We ended up cooking Thanksgiving dinner, and my mom was supposed to come over and eat with us, but Cena ended up getting sick, and then she ended up getting me sick, and the baby was sick. So to play it safe, we just isolated and quarantined before we could even get tested. And so because of that, it was like Wednesday night or whatever, I started getting sick from Cena, and then Thursday hit Thanksgiving, and my mom was on her way over, and I had to text her and call her and just be like, hey, it's probably not the best idea that you come over. We're quarantining. I don't want to risk her getting sick. And I felt bad because she's like, I'm already on my way, but if you think it's for the best, I understand. I was like, oh, I couldn't feed her and nothing. She had like food ready. She's like, I got a pie with me. It's like, oh, I feel so bad, but it's for the best.
You've done a little drive-by kind of turkey day thing. Keep her in the car.
Well, I don't know. We're preparing food, and I didn't know if things get contaminated or what so I don't.
Yeah. Better safe than sorry. Better
Yeah,
safe than
just didn't want to risk
sorry.
anything. Cena was like, she can come in and make a plate and then leave, and I was like, no, because even just coming in the house could put her at risk,
Yeah,
you know?
doorknobs, touching everything. What I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, too many surfaces. Too many surfaces. Too many unknowns.
right.
But
So had to turn her away, unfortunately, like a bouncer at the nightclub. Feel bad, but it's for the best. I don't want her to get it. My cousin has it now in Michigan,
yeah,
but
it's the amount of people that we know, definitely the cases have been rising. I think also just the traveling with Thanksgiving and people going out, and it's also just that time of year. So
yeah,
the flu starts kicking in, climate's changing, weather's changing. So yeah, I can only imagine. Now it's gonna have that huge issue of, is it COVID? Is it the flu? Is it just a
yeah.
runny nose? So yeah,
Is it allergies? Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, Monty had a little thing, and at the end of the day, it was just allergies, really. So, but
Oh, okay.
you know, so
How was Thanksgiving? I saw that Mama Monica visited. I missed it.
Mama Monty came in, Monica
Yep.
Senior.
Yep. The scenes.
Yeah, so always great to have the mother-in-law around.
Yeah,
So
she's so sweet.
yeah, no, it was a wonderful time. A small little group. We had our little quarantine kind of. There's been a group of us that we all kind of get tested every now and then, and we all kind of stay within our group. So I don't think there's too much room for error at that point. And everyone's predominantly working from home too, as it is. So I don't think there were too many risks being taken. And we all got tested again for like a week or so ago, and everything was fine. So I think as of right now, no one in our crew has had any issues COVID wise, and that's been since March. So hopefully, just keep on the same straight and narrow on that, and shouldn't have any issues.
Yeah,
So
no, Monica was telling me about Warner Brothers. She was working for Warner Brothers, and they were testing, and they refused to like do a second test on somebody who was negative or had a false positive maybe, or something. I don't remember what it was, but they like wouldn't do it, and then they finally did it like a week later. They tested them, and yeah, it put a hamper on production.
well, it's just funny listening to her discuss the production that she's been working on in regards to the guidelines that each production follows, and some of the crews that you would kind of think that they'd be kind of lax on, they were actually very strict, which is great. And some of the crews that would be, just in regards to the financial backing that they have, you would think that they would have every single possible, inch covered, and in reality, they were very not that. So it's yeah. So it's interesting to see who goes about it in a manner that everyone feels safe, or in a manner where everyone's kind of like, fuck it, here we go, whatever happens. Yeah, so exactly. That's been interesting, so.
My buddy does posters for the studios. He does a lot of the movie posters.
Oh, no, he does key art.
Yeah, huh?
He does key art, so that's what I do.
Yeah.
Yes, does he work for a particular firm or a shop?
I don't know which one. I'm gonna have him on the show. I just don't remember which one it is, but I'd have to pull him up. I'd have to. He's done some of the key movies. He's done billboards and posters for a lot of the key movies that recently came out.
Oh yeah, I'd love to. I'm curious to see who he works for, because there's Cold Open, LA, BLT, Arsenal. There's a whole bunch of. Those are the larger ones in California that I know of. So I'm interested to see where he works at, or you have to tell me, find out.
Yeah, I can link you guys up.
It's a pretty small world.
Yeah,
so.
Especially in the entertainment industry, and especially in that field.
Exactly. So.
Yeah. Do you do for people that might want to or possibly consider reaching out to you to do a commission or anything, of like a personal piece? Would you do commissions?
Yeah, so I do commissions. I do have people. I guess for the best way for me to put it this way is know your artist, and if you are going to come at me, like know the subject matter I typically work with. So if you're going to come at me, be like, hey, can you do my dog?
With butterfly wings and a flaming dragon behind him?
If you like, I wanted my dog. I want my dog riding on a tiger with a barbarian horde behind. Like something fun. Like if you really elevate it. Like yeah, it's something I could do. The more conceptual, fun things I like to get into. But I have people be like, oh, can you do me a portrait of like my daughter at her 15th birthday, and a lot of times when people send me these pictures, it's with the flash on, and it's pixelated, like very flat looking image. So if you're like, hey, can you do some pinup stuff? Can you do something conceptual? I really love traditional 1600s Japanese style, but doing a new age. Yeah, I'm open to those things, but it was really like the bland kind of mundane imagery, landscaping. I'm probably not the guy. It's like going to a tattoo artist. Like you would go to a tattoo artist who does traditional Americana. Be like, hey, do some new age tattoos for me. He's like, or he or she will be like, that's just not my style. Why are you coming to me to do that? Right. So, like I said, I love commissions. I'll do them, but just kind of have a feel for what I do. I know it sounds a little.
No, that's good advice. That's really good advice, because I'm sure you get set.
I got a tattoo recently, and the guy, his style is it's Jeff Norton, like that. You're gonna get a Jeff Norton tattoo, and that's what it is. And he was telling me how this one guy came in. He's like, I need you to change this, or I'd like you to change that, and like you change, kept going. And as an artist, hired artist, you typically have to adapt. But at a certain point, it's just like, yo, do that. After all these changes and asks, he's like, it no longer was a tattoo by me. Yeah. It's nothing I would do. The imagery that he was asking for. So it's just like, like I can do it for you, but just know that you're not going to get a Jeff Norton tattoo.
Right.
So, I think that's the best thing when people are looking for commissions, to kind of keep that in mind. Be like, you're going to, I'm going to Nick for a specific reason. Nick has his style. Let him do his thing. Give him a basis of what you want, and then just let him freak it. I think that's the best way to go about doing commissions.
Really sound advice. Actually, know your artist before you reach out.
Yeah, like when I was talking to Jeff, I was like, yo, dude, like I came to you for a reason. I think you can freak it, like have fun with it. Like I'm gonna give you some elements or like a baseline of what I want, and like you take those, and also looking where it is on my arm, like you tell me what's gonna work and not work, and I'll trust you as an artist. So I think that's the best thing. You also trust your artist you go to.
That's because they're the professional.
And also, like I said, you're most likely going to he or she because they do something that you like and there's a style to it, and so let them do it.
Yeah. It's hard to pinpoint your style, but you do some burlesque stuff, which is really dope, but you also have this sort of graffiti character style.
Like a lot of my friends growing up, actually a lot of my friends are all graph heads, they're all writers. Yeah. Me personally, like I grew up on just like anime and like manga, so like a lot of people kind of say like a fun combination of like the manga style with a little bit of kind of that graph style, I guess. At the end of the day, I think a big thing for me is like if someone can look at my artwork and be like, oh, Zach did that. That to me, I'm like perfect. Like I don't think I'm like super stylized or anything, but I think maybe my marks, the way I lay down line work and my coloring scheme is kind of what sets me not apart, but just sets me to be me. So I think as an artist though, like a big thing is just being able to have someone be like, oh, Nick did that, Sarah did that, Jeff did that, like that's wonderful. So, that's kind of what I strive for whenever I do artwork, I guess.
Right. What was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say. I don't remember now. What was the last thing you worked on for work instead of commission?
So I would love to be able to answer that. Obviously, there is the NDAs and stuff.
NDAs.
A lot of the projects that we do work on aren't out yet, and some of them are like up and coming things that aren't expected, or new shows, or things that people haven't really released yet. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Like the last thing I did that has come out, I did like the artwork for one of Quigley's. Is it Quigley? Quigley's. Little street.
Quibi.
Yeah.
It was.
So I did The Expecting. That was like the last thing I think that really came out that got printed. Mm-hmm. And then something for Disney. It was the Second Born Royals. Did some stuff for that. But yeah, so a lot of stuff that we do have coming out. Also, just because of COVID, like there's one show that we're working on for FX. I can really say that, and just in regards to when the showrunners want to release the show, and then trying to get the artwork squared around for promotional aspects, and then all of a sudden, hey, we have COVID, then we have all these new guidelines we need to follow. Can we get the talent in time? If we do have the talent, we can't shoot them together. So it's just, there's so many things now that are making, everyone's job, from behind the cameras to in front of the cameras to, marketing. So it's a lot more work. And there was an idea that we initially had established for one of our shows, and getting the execs signed off, the actors signed off, the marketing team signed off, everyone to sign off. It's hard. And then we finally had that idea, but then once again, things started spiking in regard to COVID cases, and that whole idea kind of got shot. So it's like, all right, back to the drawing boards. Like, can we do this as an illustration opposed to photorealist? There's just so many things come up. So there's been a lot of fun kind of curveball pitches that have been thrown at us in the industry. So
right,
you gotta keep finding more ways, and keeping it conceptual as a creative. So it's been interesting,
to say the least. When you're doing your art mobile from the home office, are you working on? How are you physically working on it? Are you doing it on pen and paper and then going digital? Are you doing it on like a Syntax? What's your hardware like?
So as right now, I'm in my office, and it's nothing crazy, but it's comfy. It's done what I need to get done. So I'm working on an iMac, and I also have a 27-inch HD Wacom Cintiq. Okay. So I love the Cintiq. I used to do the tablet for a while, and just having that, it took a little while to get adapted to that, but learned it and loved it. But then once I went to the Cintiq, I was like, I can't go back. And also just the projects, I do have a scanner and a flatbed, and I have the stuff I need, and I have, all my materials in regards to pen and ink, paper, different, washes from watercolor to gouache to acrylics to whatever I need. So it also just depends on the project. If I want something to be a little more, have those more gestural aspects, which you can still get on the Cintiq, but sometimes I just like that pen to paper kind of feel, that tactile aspect. It's sometimes doing lettering, you can definitely go into Illustrator and, be super meticulous with it and get every pinpoint and pen angle and, get it to be perfect. Or sometimes I want that kind of gritty, hand-done look. So, get out the pen and pad and start scribbling around and kind of get things going and see how that looks. So really just depends on the project. Super sleek, super quick, super, rough. Like, it just depends. So just kind of make that decision once that comes around. Right. It's just what's more appropriate.
For your Cintiq, do you have the one where you write on the screen, or is it like a
separate
type? Okay, yeah, I love those.
It's like kind of lifted up. It's like at an angle. So it's kind of like having like a drawing board. Also, like the product itself allows you to kind of have a fulcrum on it. So if you want it to be super flat, you can do that. Give it a little more angle. It depends on how you are as a drawer, and what. Some people are little finger noodlers. Some people are wrist drawers. And so set it up to however is more comfortable for you.
Yeah, those are the good ones. I have the old separate tablet where you have it on your hand, like more for like Photoshop, but trying to draw with it, and you're trying to figure out where your pin is on the screen.
It took me a good month. It took me like a good month to just have that disconnect of maintaining my face forward and having the wrist up here. I got it, but it definitely. I can definitely see how that would deter some people from using that particular product. I have a good friend who's phenomenal at typography and everything he does. He's also an Illustrator as well, but he got the tablet and it really frustrated him. He just didn't really want to take the time to adapt that, disconnect. But now he's kind of I kind of wish I'd taken the time, or maybe even just get the Cintiq. So he's still playing around with it.
Yeah. I every time I picked my pen up, I couldn't figure out where I was going back down at, because I like to be able to draw on the screen and actually draw where I'm trying to draw, see what I'm drawing and draw on the screen. So I need to update my Syntax.
It just goes back to that, having that hand-eye connectivity between what you're drawing, where your mark's going down, and there's definitely, it gives you a little bit more of a sense of a more confident mark. So I can see how that
because I like paper and pen, obviously, so drawing on a screen or an iPad. Have you done that? Have you played with those iPads?
So a lot of people have discussed to me, but I go back and forth with a lot of my design friends about Procreate,
Yeah.
Photoshop, and like a big thing for me, a reason why I like the Cintiq though. Also, once I'm kind of old school in that sense, where I just grew up on Photoshop, so I know the program pretty well.
Yeah.
Procreate, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just as intuitive. It's very user friendly, but it's just I don't know. I've yet to go over it. The thing that really kind of irked me with the tablet, which I found out later that you can kind of get a screen filter for, is how smooth and sleek the screen is. It really
yeah.
kind of drove me crazy. But people are like, oh, now you can get these kind of screen protectors that have a little bit of tooth, so it can kind of give you that texture, So because the Cintiq I have now has that, and also the nibs that are interchangeable kind of give you that feel too. So, like I said, as of right now, I'm very comfortable with it, and I guess I don't necessarily see a reason to change yet.
Yeah. No.
I guess if at some point, it behooves me to switch it over, I would. But as of right now, I don't see the reason. But I guess I will say something I have seen though. I really enjoy the Procreate brushes though.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still get a lot of the same quality and that kind of versatility in Photoshop, but I feel as though they're more readily available through Procreate, and I think there's I've been impressed with a lot of the textures and ability that you have with those. So that's one thing that's very appealing to me, but I still think I can still get the same kind of end product and that I could get in Photoshop as I would in Procreate. But
Yeah.
we'll see one day.
I see a lot of people on Instagram with the Procreate and the iPads, and man, the stuff that they do is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, it's wonderful. I mean,
turning it on the fly and just having that smooth. Nice.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing is since you do have, I mean my screen is 27 inches. I mean you have the rotate tool in Photoshop, but it is fun when you have the iPad. You can literally just
physically rotate what you're holding. Yeah, like a piece of paper. Yeah.
It's almost like driving an automatic or a manual, or I prefer manual where you have that
old school.
You're more to it. So I could see the appeal of that as well. But
yeah. They don't even really make manuals anymore. You know that? They're all like auto shift manual-matics.
Or the paddle was in the back.
No clutch. Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, that's not a true manual.
She's like, oh yeah, I have a manual. Like in her car, I'm like, what do you mean? Well, she's like, oh, there's I'm like, oh, there's no clutch. Like you're.
Yeah, you just flick this lever and it. It's like, no, it's not a manual. The manual, you gotta hold the clutch down and actually move a stick.
I was behind a Jeep the other day. I'm pretty sure people have seen this, but he had the spare tire, and there was the cover tire, the cover to it. And it was like a big scene. It's like a millennial anti-theft, and it's just a design of the manual for a second, third, fourth, fifth. I was like, yeah, I don't know anyone who's within that age frame who even knows how to drive a manual anymore. So,
Yep.
Gotta get that, but
Cena posted one. It was if your boyfriend doesn't know how to drive a manual, you have a girlfriend. Like yes.
There's so many kids who don't know how to drive manuals these days.
I'm sorry for the kids that don't know how to drive a manual. It's not your fault.
I know. I mean, also they're just not making them really anymore. So
yeah.
And I think they're trying to phase out gas-powered cars by like 2024 or something like that. So
it's interesting. Ford and everybody, they're hopping on the electric bandwagon, obviously.
Yeah, no, I saw GM and everything. Like
they were some of the first ones to go against Tesla when Tesla first came out. They were like saying it's not gonna last, they're not gonna make it, electric cars aren't anything, and now all of a sudden you hear GM and Ford announcing they're phasing out gas cars.
Yeah, I mean that whole thing with Nikola and the GM, General Motors, and I've been following that just in regards to stocks. So it's been kind of amusing, that battle of who will get it first and how it's going forward and the longevity of it. But yeah,
we own Tesla stock, so it's been good.
Yeah,
I got it early though, early.
I did not.
I did not.
Yeah.
We the Amazon, that's what it was. Amazon, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk obviously don't get along. The billionaire feuds and billionaire problems, right? And Amazon is obviously doing the blue whatever to compete with SpaceX.
Oh, yeah,
Blue
yeah,
Origin.
yeah.
And so Tesla obviously is doing electric cars. And so to compete with Tesla doing electric cars, they invested a bunch of money into Rivian. Rivian is like that new truck and SUV, which look really nice, by the way. But he's like secretly pumping money into him and Ford. Jeff Bezos, Amazon, and Ford were like pumping money into different companies to expand. I think VW joined in to expand their electric car options.
It's gonna be a fun little race. So
Yeah, I can't wait to see semi trucks on the highway.
oh, geez, that are electric.
Yeah, the Tesla semi truck. I can't wait to see that thing out there. That thing's so dope.
I haven't seen it yet. I remember seeing wasn't there a Tesla truck, their SUV that came out a little while ago, and they were like, oh, shatterproof, windows, and they're
and then the window shatters.
shatters right there. Oh man. I mean,
it was the Cybertruck.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I feel like people are trying to flex super quick and just trying to get things out, like quantity over quality at the moment, it seems like, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. I was gonna go back to the artwork real quick, because there's one girl that I'm gonna try to get on the show. She does oil paintings, and man, she is phenomenal. But then I have a friend who does a lot of illustration, and he does a lot of typography. But what he likes to do is sketch it out first on paper, and he scans it, and then he goes into Illustrator, and then like uses Illustrator to digitize it and trace it basically from what he wrote.
I do the same thing. Typography, I think that's the best thing, because I mean, for me personally, to do typography straight in Illustrator, I find I lose my hand, and it becomes very just kind of processed, opposed to like having a little flair or like a little bit of edge to it that sets it apart from just your typical other typography. So yeah, the way your friend does that thing, I mean, I agree with that completely. It just allows for your hand to kind of be a little more fluid with it and kind of get the lines that you're looking for. And then when you bring it in, you start using the pen tool, you can really kind of nail down those angles and spacing and everything. So I think, I mean, I can't think of any other way that I prefer about going, that route. So
yeah,
I agree 100%. But
there's another artist on Instagram. I have to introduce you to him. I gotta find his name though. I don't want dead air sitting here while I'm looking at my phone, but he did some really dope new concepts for like Disney characters. So he took like Ariel and redesigned her with this cool like emo style, what's the word for the millennials that like they wear glasses and like Chuck Taylors and like, what's the word for it?
I mean, I don't know.
There's a word for it. I just can't think of it. Plaid
kept up.
Glasses.
No idea.
I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, he like just redesigned the Disney characters, which is really cool. Almost looks like your style almost. It's really cool looking. Kind of graffiti-esque for like bombs and characters, but I have to show it to you. He's really, really cool. Really cool concept. I like when people do that, when they take something and reimagine it, or they'll do like a mashup of two things.
Yeah, I mean, they've been around for 25, 30 plus years, so it is kind of fun to update it and see how people, like, what their perception of those particular characters are, like how would they fit in 2020 opposed to 1985. So it's, I mean, I always enjoy seeing people, even just, I think one of my favorite things is just, actually, I've always loved Iron Man.
Oh yeah.
Just like when they first established him to what he is now. I mean, there's a lot of characters, I think, even all the Spider-Man outfits are a lot of fun to see how they developed and grown. So yeah, I mean, anything with artwork like that, it's always fun it's just like fashion, there's a little bit of a full circle that comes around with some of these things, and you obviously see a design of a character for 2020, but also there's remnants of something from like the early 90s. So I love seeing just the progression and from the origin to where it is now. So yeah, character design. I love conceptual artists in general.
Mhm.
Just like playing with shapes and line work and colors, and just, hey, here's a character from back in the day. How can we update it to now? So yeah, I love that avenue or that particular field of artwork.
Mhm. When you were in New York, did you do any graffiti? Like any graph?
I mean, like I said, I grew up with a lot of writers, and
Mhm.
I absolutely love what they can do. From like I don't know if the terms are correct, but like a French thin to like a German fatty, and using different kind of caps and how they do like the sprays and different angles, how
Mhm.
they get their
Fat
vibe. So
caps.
my good friend Ryan Adams, he writes Turtle. He's a writer from out on the East Coast as well. And like he's giving, he's taken me out a couple times, and I've picked up the can, and like I had a blast with it, but by no means would I would. That's a world that I just I love,
Oh,
respect it
he just
completely.
admitted to vandalism. Get him. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Actually, it was on a legal wall. It was on a legal wall. Back where we are, the legal wall. So it's
FBI kicks in your door.
Jesus. Yeah, no, I mean, I think the spray world, just being able to have that control, the
Yeah.
stuff you can do from getting a line that's this thin to a line that's
Mhm.
5 feet wide, and still
Yeah.
maintaining control and color and ease and gradation. Yeah,
Yeah,
those
the
guys.
fades. Yep.
Yeah, they're amazing. So I love it. But
Yeah,
if I had more
smart
time,
tells.
I would be into it. But I mean, personally, like, I grew up doing like my go-to is watercolor and
Oh, okay.
India ink. So
Oh yeah, yeah. Indian ink.
so I love watercolor just because of the mistakes that happen with it. You can get very controlled with it, but also, you know, wet on wet, you can really let the pigment kind of just go and take on its own life. So very different styles, I think. But
Yeah.
I love graph.
Indian. The only time I remember using Indian ink was when we used to do homemade tattoos. I've never actually used Indian ink for art. Like my tattoos
Oh,
that I have are with Indian ink.
there you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
it's the only time I've.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
that's still art, I guess. Tattoos are art, obviously. So,
I
I
mean,
get,
I think, yeah, tattoos are amazing. So
yeah, yeah. Tattoo artists
every
are amazing.
time being a tattoo artist, I'm like, no. I mean, I love it, but that's just too much responsibility. Like, that's someone's body, and if I did make a mistake, oof, I would it would haunt me for days.
Oops.
Yeah. Ooh, shit.
Don't worry, we'll fix it. I'll cover it up.
Yeah, we'll do it in post. But yeah, no, it's a world I think is amazing. I have much respect for tattoo artists, but personally, I don't. That's a lot of responsibility I'm not willing to take on.
Yeah, definitely. For anybody that's like interested in doing artwork like you do, working for studios like you do you have any advice or suggestions for how they could start out?
I mean, honestly, like, yeah, it's funny. Like, I went to college for illustration at one point, but everything in regards to what I've learned, I mean, yeah, that's on. Let me restart. I learned a lot in college, but the things that I find to be most pertinent to what I do now and just growing as an artist was really kind of outside of the school, the classroom. Like, just looking up tutorials, looking up other artists, being like, oh, I really like that. Try to take what they're doing, and even just doing color studies, body studies, figure studies. Sorry, and just really having fun with it, and just like kind of pushing it, and like just developing your own hand language, and like becoming more comfortable with like your marks and growing that confidence. And also, like, I think a big thing too is treat artwork. It's don't do. I guess, yeah, it's fun to get that recognition and impress people, but also at the same time, it's like, if you have a sketchbook, sketch the hell out of it. Have fun with it. It's like a basketball player shooting free shots, foul shots. Jesus, for just like every day I start off with like a 10-minute warm up. I go on this website called quickposes.com because we don't have access to live figure studies anymore, or right now. And just like do 30-second sketches, get your hand loose, warm up. Like, it's kind of funny. You can see the progression. Even if you just do it every day for a week, you'll see how much your confidence grows. But yeah, just constantly trying to doodle, have fun. Don't hyper focus on one thing. Just try to expand your book and your mental Rolodex of like perspective, 2-point perspective, angles, depth, lighting. Just have fun with it, and just try to know every aspect of the craft that you're involved with.
Mm.
Then moving forward, what I've noticed is just in regards to artwork is like, especially with Instagram, just kind of constantly posting, updating, and just like, and it's always great to ask for constructive criticism from other people. Like, don't be afraid to post your stuff. Like, if you're entering if you're going to enter this world, have tough skin. That's the way to put it. Not everyone's going to like a pink fluffy rabbit. Not everyone's going to like a scantily dressed, sexualized female. Not everyone's going to like a, grotesque, shredded up, zombie looking barbarian. So it's just, have fun with it and do what you enjoy, and try to make every piece something that you would be happy to present. Like right now when I do builds and work on these movie posters, and like, yes, you do have to listen to the clientele and you do have to execute certain things that they ask for, but try to do it in a manner that you think is cool. That's kind of the way I've kind of developed that perspective. It's like, do I think this is cool? All right, cool. Then I'll go with it. Yeah. But, try to take anything you do and just really enjoy it, opposed to just being like, all right, I'm regurgitating something that someone's asking for and making something for them. Still try to, put your flair to it and make it something that you're proud of. So.
I also found that a lot of photographers, illustrators, artists in general, starting out, they don't save everything. They'll like do something and then it's gone. And I can't stress how important it is to save everything you've done, because you have to build up your portfolio so that eventually when you do want to submit to different agencies and get work, or even if you're an independent contractor, that you have to be able to show something for it. So it's very important to build up your portfolio.
One thing I'll say on that though is also like quality over quantity.
For sure.
It's when I was first coming out of college, like I personally think I had probably 35 pieces in my portfolio, and I remember my professor being like, that's great, but now I'm just looking like I'm just going through trash at a certain point where it's like, these are super solid pieces right here, present only solid pieces. Like, just because you want people to just feel like they're turning pages, like that's not going to get you a job. It's like really impressive pieces of work that are consistent. Like, that's where it's at. If you have 15 amazing pieces, put those 15 in.
Yeah.
And if you have 20 other pieces, just because they don't live up to the same level of quality, it's like, don't put them in. There's no sense to do so. Just kind of curate your own personal work, and also enjoy your work for the one day that when you do finish it. I feel like a lot of artists will be like, oh, I'm done, awesome, love it, and the next day you're like, oh, damn it, should have done this, should have done that. So get the work done and move on. No sense dwelling.
Artists are their own worst critic, right?
Oh, of course, yeah. No, I mean, I'll get a piece done and then I'll be like, oh, I love it. And then I could look at it a year later. I'm like, oh, why didn't I do this? And then, a year, so it's just get it done with, get it off.
What was I thinking?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, gosh. Or even then, though, like your style has changed, or your techniques and stuff have grown. So you're like, oh, I could totally have done this, But I always love when people on Instagram be like, hey, here's a piece I did back in 2012, and now here's 8 years later, 2020, and like, here's, how I've grown. And they redo that same piece. I
love that when they revisited this piece and how they do it now with their talents.
Yeah, so it's fun to see.
Awesome to watch. Yep. Well, I'm gonna put your Instagram post and everything obviously down below, and maybe a little bumper so that everybody can read and see your artwork. Obviously, if you're already not following Zack, you have to be following Zack. He's a talented artist, and check out his portfolio. If you do want a commission or anything like that, reach out to him if you have any questions. He's a super obviously down-to-earth guy. So if you have any,
I love talking shop, to be honest with you. So like, if you guys ever have questions or just want to be like, hey, your style is dope, and I think you would, relate well with this artist or whatnot, or just hey, what's your technique for this? How'd you come up with this product? Like I said, I love talking shop. I have no problem taking the time out to just kind of goof off and discuss whatever is on your mind or so.
Yeah.
We're talking.
Yep. He's a pool full of advice. So he works in the industry. So if you guys have any questions, reach out.
Love to help out. So, I mean, I got here because of people helping me. So, the least I could do is kind of play it along and help anyone else who's in the industry or trying to look to grow and develop their styles and whatnot. And maybe I can give you some connections. Who knows?
That's one
Take
of
it
my.
from there.
That's one. Yeah, it's all about who you know too, especially in the
Exactly.
entertainment industry.
A lot of jobs I got were from connections. So
Uh oh,
really, yeah,
somebody's
I think
backing up.
someone's getting towed. Actually, it looks like.
Oh crap. Um,
It's not my
well,
car. We good.
yeah. Reach out to Zach if you guys would like anything, and what was I gonna? There was something else I was gonna say, but yep, he's on Instagram and you're on Twitter. Me
Can't
neither.
stand on the Twitter wagon.
Me neither.
So
I jumped off it a long time ago. Got rid of it.
I don't have anything important enough to say. So
No, yeah.
I'm just like, hey, I don't know. There's a
Yeah.
pop-up shop downtown. That's the least I could really. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah,
Such a pleasure.
your website. Yeah, I appreciate you jumping on with me, man. It was good catching up.
Yeah.
I have your website and everything linked down below with your Instagram.
Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, please, anyone who's watching or is interested in talking, whatnot, hit me up.
Yeah.
It's also during COVID time, so I got not too much going on.
Yeah.
Well, besides day-to-day
Besides
work.
working mobily, but yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you jumping on, man. Thank you so much. Stay on the line though, real quick. I'm gonna finish the podcast.